But Denim's apparently doubling down on calling Emiru a racist chud because she's not speaking out against ICE. Silence is compliance! I don't make the rules, but this is what happens when you tolerate extremists for so fucking long. Emiru doesn't deserve getting attacked.
People on the right get so soy. You're smearing and defaming by calling someone a chud.
No, it's not the word chud, it's calling her a racist.
It tells me everything I need to know about the character of someone who talks about things this way. I don't know why this, I mean, it's intentional ignorance, but that's okay. It tells me everything I need to know about this person. If you are fine with commenting on things you don't know about when it benefits you, when you know your audience will like you talking about it, that's one thing.
No, I think it's a good thing for people to not talk about things they don't know about, because then they could say something very, very dumb because they don't know anything about it. Which is why when people bring something up to me and they ask if I know about it, I'll just say no.
But then for you to use an opportunity or ignore an opportunity where you could talk about something, maybe your audience doesn't like it, maybe you could educate them on it a little bit, but you choose not to.
If you don't know anything about it, how are you going to educate your audience? You just want her to repeat slogans to be on your side. You want capitulation to your cult ideology, even if she doesn't know anything.
You're just siding with whatever your chud or chudette audience wants to hear. She's right when she says most streamers are not qualified to talk about politics. Okay, here's the thing, dude. You actually don't have to be qualified to talk about politics to say fuck ICE. It's not that hard of a concept.
That's funny.
You know who doesn't do political content? Cutie Cinderella. Cutie Cinderella literally never does political content.
And she got fucking roasted for the comment that she made, and rightfully so.
And even she's capable of saying fuck ICE. What about Cinna? You don't have to be a political creator to recognize that it's not hard to say fuck ICE. And I don't know if you know
maybe she likes having like laws and shit. You know, like maybe she's just like, hey, I don't like some of the stuff that's going on, but I also like having laws, and so I'm just gonna keep fucking quiet because no one's gonna be happy with any statement I make. And that's the correct fucking thing to do if you don't do politics, man.
If you're an adult in this country, you should be the minimal amount invested in politics. Because you live here. There's this weird idea in America especially, where like you can just be an adult and be like, oh, I don't care about politics. What?
I mean, I agree with her there. I think the people who are adults and say, I don't care about politics are like just incredibly fucking dumb. Because eventually the politics are gonna come for you and you're gonna have to contend with it. However, I don't think streamers declining to make a political statement publicly means that they don't care about politics. It just means that they want to keep their professional image separate from any of the beliefs that they have. And I think that's perfectly fine. I always say, like, if a streamer, if a content creator wants to make any kind of statement, whether I agree with it or not, they should be able to. If that statement is, hey, I don't want to make a statement, that should be perfectly fine. If a creator comes out and knows nothing about what's going on and says fuck ICE, and someone makes fun of them for it, that should also be perfectly fine. You shouldn't lose sponsors over something like that.
If you're above the age of 18, you should care about politics in your fucking country.
Agreed.
You don't get to be like, well, I don't agree with this whole taxes thing, so I'm just not gonna pay for it.
I wish I could do that.
You can't say like, well, I'm just not gonna care about all this politics stuff. This is by far like the, I think, dumbest American quality. Saying I'm not into politics.
I think the dumb thing is bashing Emiru for not wanting to make political statements. It's not that she doesn't care, it's not that she doesn't know, it's that she doesn't want to say anything. And I think that's perfectly fine. That should be completely acceptable. You shouldn't browbeat someone who doesn't want to make politics part of their content into doing that. It's like conservatives buy shoes too, or however that fucking quotes go, right? Some people just want to have a chill fucking audience that is completely apolitical. But in order to have that audience be completely apolitical, you have to make sure that you're not getting overrun by people trying to force you into making statements, trying to force you into one peg hole or another. And there's typically only one side that demands that. if Emiru decides to open Pandora's box and she falls somewhere to the right, then it'll be a real problem. Oh, absolutely. They just want people to repeat the slogans regardless of what the people know, so that they can be like, look, this person's on our side. Look at how much consensus we have from these large influential people. Like, people who just want to grill, please just understand what time it is. Please understand there is one side that wants you to no longer just be able to grill. They want you to bend the knee. They want capitulation. I don't expect anyone who just wants to grill to agree with me 100%. I don't expect them to take my side, whatever side that might be. But it's like, if you want to just grill, if you want to be left alone, if you want to enjoy something like block game without politics pushed in it, even if it's not publicly, even if it's not connected to your content, you gotta pay attention to what's happening.
And also, let's not even take this seriously, right? The real reason why is they're just making up some sort of way to attack a person to put more pressure on them.
How come the Twitch page here has browse and then Roblox? Why is Twitch promoting a pedophilic dating service?
They're just trying to attack somebody to put them in a position where they have to defend themselves, and they feel like they have to defend themselves by agreeing with them. Anybody who agrees with these people or capitulates to them, it's not the end. It's the beginning.
Tactical musician,
and
thank
it will
you.
Only
Congrats
get
on being
worse.
The first VTuber super
These
chat.
people are
thank you.
parasites. They are the worst group of people on the entire, well, not the worst group, but they're one of the worst groups
One of the worst
people
groups, yeah.
on the entire internet. And the way that they collectively bully people into having different opinions and trying to force this thought is disgraceful.
Agreed.
It is.
Agreed.
Anybody doing this with right-wing opinions is also a piece of shit.
Did he
Anybody
hear me
who
from
doesn't
the
want to
other
talk
room?
about politics should have every right to not talk about politics or not want to make comments on things. The right didn't try to cancel Emiru because she didn't spend a day talking about Charlie Kirk.
True.
Like, what are we talking about?
Fucking caught. He heard me and he repeated what I said. Look at this guy.
That's really
He's
the way I feel
watching
about
you.
it. I find it to be very frustrating. Denims using KGB tactics. Well, I mean, it's very common that people use this stuff. It's extremely common. The exclusive reason to attack her is get at you? Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think that really, like, sure, there might be some people that don't like me, so they attack her. Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. It's probable, actually. But, like,
I mean,
that's probably not the majority
when I was getting
of it.
canceled.
So, yeah. It's worth the context, what Emiru said prompted all this. Oh, yeah, this is actually what she said.
Like, there's a certain extent where I'm like, okay, sure, I get people wanting big content creators to, like, say their opinions on, like, important topics. I get.
Why? There's no reason that you should expect to have some content creator tell you that your they don't want to hear their opinion. Sorry, they don't want to hear the content creator's opinion. They want to hear their opinion repeated back to them.
It makes it feel more
That's what they
valid
really
because
want.
it's like someone with a platform said it, therefore it must
But
be
it's
more
like-
true. I don't even know if you can call it the appeal to authority fallacy. I don't know what it is, but yeah.
A streamer who doesn't even know anything about politics to tell you about politics,
Yeah.
you probably just need to, like, get off the internet. Like,
That's what made him mad. That's what fucking made him mad.
Made them mad because they see themselves as people
And you know why they're mad?
influencing the opinions that people should
It's
have.
because she's right.
Yep. Yep.
She's right. If you're sitting there begging, please, please take time out of choosing between these two different foods and tell me whether ice is good or not, who the fuck does this?
That's what I was saying. That's what I was
stop,
saying with the
like,
fuck illegal
like,
immigration
hello?
thing.
Like, I don't, like, what? Like, how am I gonna, I don't know, get help? Like, even.
It's very obvious that she's uncomfortable talking about this
Yes,
stuff.
it is.
It's obvious. She doesn't want to talk about it. Why would you try to pressure somebody into doing something like this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
It's obvious. Play this game. I'm down for
Obviously,
it.
I don't, like,
I play it.
dislike any of the political streamers, except for, like, some of, like, the really bad ones. I don't really like them.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't.
And that's the funny thing, too, is, like, I mean, she's done content with me in the past. She's done content with Hassan. Like, why does everybody have to take a side?
They shouldn't have
Not
to.
everybody has to take a side with every issue and then repeat it and then do this. It's insane.
Understand how in the first place people care so much what they say. I guess it's because they just have a lot of reach or influence.
Yep.
But it's like,
It's okay. Okay.
why are you listening to them in the first place? I don't know.
Yeah, that's why they got mad, bro. Like, they got mad. They went
I
and
was
they
like,
got
this is
mad
part of why I
because
say
they got
don't bring
called
politics to
out for
non-political
begging for the
streamers, right?
attention
We do
and
the
the
politics
approval
here.
from a live streamer. That's it, man.
We do the politics here, but that has no place in places like Pippa's chat or Henya's chat or fucking Filian's chat, right? Occasionally Filian will be like, dance, Kirsche, my political monkey, say something spicy. But like that's pretty much the only time that happens, right? You want to keep the apolitical streamers away from the political stuff. You don't want to fucking have weirdos climbing all over their chat, demanding they make kind of like any comments on anything. I don't ever want to hear Henya say like fuck illegal immigrants or fuck ICE. I don't want to hear any kind of political stuff over there, and I don't want to see people haranguing her for that stuff either, right? Because that'd be fucked up.
People have roaming groups of assholes that just go out there and attack and bully you for having an opinion or not having an opinion on something. This is a problem in general.
It is.
It's ironic. It is. Is there Confucian tactics? Yes. Fascism does not prevent speech, it compels speech. That's what they want. They want compelled speech.
They are everything they accuse you of being.
Many of us, Schizo, I genuinely believe this stuff.
This feels really familiar. Maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe this is a new, like, WEF.
Cut down on
a new WEF meeting. Maybe he just said it a second time. Yeah, this is old. That's a really old clip. Okay, I could have sworn we fucking watched this. I'll play it again just because I'm talking about it.
I'll give two examples. So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, you know, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So, you know, but so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering.
This kind of goes into our eugenics conversation the other day, where there might be some good use cases for it, but while evil people like this thing on my screen exist wanting to bioengineer you to be allergic to meat, I don't think we really have any possibility of any good coming from eugenics. Eugenics without ethics on showcase, right? Oh man, hell no, vegans are evil. Like I am kind of tired of this like kind of line of thinking, right? I would think it's fine to talk about this, but to be like, yeah, we maybe should do this because it would be a good thing for the planet if people ate less meat. Just make people allergic to it. It's fine. This guy would never take the tick bite, but sure would force it on others. Oh, 100%. None of the people who would be like pro getting rid of meat eating via tick bites, none of those people would actually ever take the tick bite themselves. If we just enslave and force people to do what we want, these are the people who know that we live in a world where people won't just, so they must force you to just in the way that they want you to. The Lone Star thing is called the Alpha Gal, by the way. You know people with it? Yep. Makes you wonder what they've probably made us allergic to. It does make you wonder. Like the peanut allergy. Asmongold on why OTK was his largest, most profound mistake in life. And you know, at one point, I was like, maybe I can become a large enough streamer that I can join OTK. That was like a thing that my brain had thought at one point in time.
Starting OTK was the most profound and largest mistake that I have ever made in my entire life.
Dodged a bullet? Dodged several bullets, honestly.
It was. It was the biggest mistake I have ever made in my whole life. And a lot of the reasons for that are personal reasons that you don't even know. That's the truth. Like, there were things that were very problematic and bad, and biggest mistake. No, and like what? I will give one example.
Why is he at 120p?
I don't want to give any
That's
more
a great
examples
question.
because they're personal and it's not part of the. It's not like, you know. I tell you guys a lot about me, but there are things that I reserve.
Obviously.
So basically, for one of the reasons why I kind of kept streaming on a regular basis was because we had different contract obligations, right? we had different obligations to sponsors. We had different obligations to brands and things like that. And in the process of that, I neglected a relationship that I had. I was actually going to move in with this girl and, you know, like actually probably get married to her. And I ended up not doing any of that because I felt like I had to continue, you know, working in the best interest of, you know, that group. And
see, I would like to know more about this. I mean, it's his personal life, so obviously he can put out as much as he wants, but like, that doesn't make sense to me. How if he was going to marry this chick, how were the obligations to OTK so large that he wasn't able to like move in with her or actually go ahead with the marriage? Cause it's like, obviously he's working a fuck ton, right? But that's no different than if you're going to date like some kind of CEO of a normal company, right? Like, you just accept that there's going to be long work hours and time will have to be carved out. I like, maybe, obviously, there's probably something I just don't know. But to me, that seems really silly. Like, if you're on the precipice of marriage, there should be an understanding of, like, what your work constitutes and how to sort of make even some semblance of a work-life balance. He probably wasn't at marriage level, but he probably could have seen that as an eventuality. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Streamer orgs absorb all of your life. He neglected her and she decided to cut it off, at least from what it looks like to you. I have no idea. I can't even like speculate, man. She may not have considered what he did as a real job, which is strange, right? Because like, if you're making the amount of money Asmongold was and still is, like, obviously that's a real job. I would only say it's not a real job if you've been doing it for years and you're like making nothing from it. It's like, okay, maybe like you tried this, it's not working out. Maybe it's time to look elsewhere, right? You've lived that. You get too tired to be effectively passionate. Just come home and sleep. Unless your girlfriend is head over heels, she'll leave. Maybe I just have a different perspective because I've like lived in that kind of lifestyle where I was with someone who was in a very demanding job. And while yes, you do feel like I wish we had more time. I wish like we could do more stuff. It's an investment for like your future, is it not? If you're intending to marry that person, it's like they're making all this money now. They're taking all this time now, and we'll have plenty of time later on. But maybe I'm just kind of chill about it. I don't know. Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Businessman becomes obsessed with the business and forgets about his love life. Tale as old as time, Kirsche. Fortunately, he didn't get married, so the pain wasn't as bad. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I've lived in that scenario before. And like, yeah, sometimes you do feel sad because like you want more time. But like, they still come home to you. They still like do some things on a daily basis with you, even if it's not a whole lot of time, you know? It's like with my working hours, I'm on stream like 3 to 8. I sometimes go later with you guys. Sometimes I'm earlier, depending on if there's like a new video game release or like a press conference or something I really want to watch with you guys. But other than those, like I have a lot of emails that I do stuff with. I work with artists. I have to take like sponsor conferences and whatnot. I've had to take like business trips to like fly out and do stuff, right? And if I'm with somebody, they either have to be like, okay, well, you know, I trust you to just like go on a trip by yourself because I can't take time off of work. Or like if I'm doing stuff, you know, 3 to 8 at a minimum, and they're working like a normal 9 to 5, that's overlapping with my work hours. And by the time I finish stream, they're probably getting ready for bed. And the way you put it to your wife was this: you're the center of my world. You're not my whole world. I can't neglect the rest of my whole world crumbles. Well, it's not only that, but like if you are the breadwinner, and I'm assuming you would be if you're working an insane amount of hours, that is investment for your future. And I'm not just saying your as in like you individual, even though it obviously is. But if you're dating someone with intent to marry, that is investment in both of your futures, you know? Trump's attempt to make drugs cheaper is pushing prices up in other countries. The president's order is upending healthcare in Switzerland. And you know, seeing the headline kind of makes me wonder exactly how much Americans have been subsidizing the so-called free healthcare that other countries brag about all the time. And I wonder how they're going to fare when we literally pull more and more of our money out to focus on our own citizens instead. For the past few years, Swiss oncologist Christopher Renner has treated blood cancer patients with Lunsumio, a new drug that helps the immune system recognize and destroy malignant cells. Then last summer, Renner got an email from Roche Holding AG, Lunsumio's manufacturer, informing him the treatment would no longer be available in Switzerland because health insurers there wouldn't pay for the infusions. You see what's possible, says Renner, a professor at University of Basel, and then you're told you can't use it. The move was a response to rules President Donald Trump introduced that forced drug makers to reduce their prices in the US to the lowest level paid in other developed countries. Oh, in Switzerland, new medications typically cost far less than in the US, so in theory, Americans should benefit from the change. The problem is, instead of bringing down prices in the US, pharmaceutical companies are raising them elsewhere. It's almost like we were subsidizing all of you this whole time. Welcome to Zombocom. Yet Switzerland has shown little political willingness to pay more, threatening both the availability of medications in the country and its role as a global leader in developing therapies. Drug prices are the primary driver of the increasing cost of mandatory health coverage, and the topic generates heated debate during the annual reappraisal of insurance rates. The Swiss cannot and must not pay for price reductions in the US with their health insurance premiums, said Elisabeth Baumschneider, Switzerland's Home Affairs Minister. You're not paying for our premiums. You're paying what we're going to pay for the drug. Congratulations. Congratulations, you get to be just like us. I don't want my tax dollars going to abortions in Kenya or birth control in like fucking Chad. I don't want my money going to cancer drugs in Switzerland. Switzerland can pay for its own citizens. The health of your citizens is none of my concern. The health of Americans is of my concern. The global pharma industry sees an existential threat in amped up efforts to rein in drug costs. That's particularly true in Switzerland, where operating costs are already among the highest in the world. As pressure to cut prices spreads from the US around the globe, pharma companies say they may be forced to scale back operations in the Alpine country. Trump's pricing scheme is a direct attack on Switzerland as a pharma hub, says Renee Buchholzer, Chief Executive Officer of Interpharma, a Swiss industry group. Doing nothing and carrying on isn't an option anymore. You can't force Americans to continue to subsidize the costs of healthcare in your country, sir and or madame. The industry employs more than 50,000 people directly in Switzerland and an additional 250,000 indirectly at suppliers and service providers. The pharmaceutical, life sciences, and chemical industries account for more than half of Switzerland's total exports. But pharma's contribution to the national economy last year hit its lowest level since the government started tracking that measure in 1990. Switzerland is a country that benefits so much from biopharmaceutical innovation, says Novartis AG CEO Vas Narasimham. That does not sound like a Swiss name. I hope it will come to the decision to properly reward that. The pricing issue adds to hurdles the industry already faces. Executives say research activity is drifting towards China, now the global leader in clinical trials, while the numbers are declining in Switzerland. Lower prices will further shrink profit margins, industry leaders say. Add on a recent increase in Switzerland's corporate tax rates, and developing drugs in the country will become increasingly uncompetitive, regardless of its long-standing expertise. As a result, job losses are mounting. Novartis is cutting hundreds of manufacturing positions. Pfizer has sharply downsized, and Johnson & Johnson is exiting Swiss vaccine production altogether. Hey, those are interesting names to note. That's pretty interesting. I've never seen conditions in Switzerland this tough, says Yulia Feliziani, an account manager at K Recruiting Life Sciences in Zurich. Layoffs are increasing and finding a new role has become exceptionally difficult, even for strong, experienced candidates. The economics of launching a medicine in Switzerland is already fraught. The country requires Swiss-specific packaging and maintains its own regulatory standards for a market of only about 9 million people. As U.S. pressure intensifies, pharmaceutical companies are rethinking the timing of drug introductions, and Switzerland increasingly gets pushed to the back of the queue. Swiss insurers will pay for just 47%. Swiss insurers will pay for just 47% of new drugs, down from about 2/3 in 2018. In Germany, by contrast, it's 90% and climbing. We will likely see further delays in the introduction of new medicines. In Switzerland, without an increase in prices, Roche CEO Thomas Schneinacker told Zurich's Sonntags Zeitung in December. On a January 29th earnings call, Schneinacker said a new breast cancer pill might not be available to Swiss patients. Well, I hope they can figure out a way to afford it without American money dollars, yo. This is the kind of shit that shows that Euros are the most entitled people ever. They crap on Americans and then expect us to continue to fund all the shit they rub in our faces. I mean, that's kind of what it was when we stopped paying for their stuff in the UN as well. When we were like, hey, you guys are gonna have to start paying some of your defense share, everyone fucking started reeing. And we even had people being like, oh my god, you can't treat your allies this way. And it's like, what the fuck do you mean? We're not a bank. Drug companies say they need to charge high prices on new medications because so much of their work doesn't pay off. They spend billions of euros on research, but relatively few formulas turn out to be effective. Even fewer provide the massive profits needed to fund further research and pay off shareholders. Moreover, companies typically need to make that money early on, because after about 2 decades on the market, drugs lose patent protection, which drives prices down as generic producers start selling copycats. Once again, why is this a problem? If it was only Americans paying more, why is this suddenly a problem? Why would you not pay your fair share into the system? Why would you expect Americans to continue to shoulder the burden of having higher drugs? Like, why? Why would you expect that? Manufacturers argue that American patents bear most of these innovation costs and that it's only fair for other countries to pay more, especially Switzerland, given its prosperity. A more equitable approach, they say, would be to set prices globally and adjust them country by country based on gross domestic product and purchasing power. Drug pricing, once largely the purview of manufacturers, reacting to market forces, is driven more and more by government intervention, insurance reimbursement, and assessments of a drug's effectiveness versus its cost. In recent decades, many countries have adopted reference pricing, linking prices to those of similar drugs available domestically or in other countries. In the US, no centralized government body negotiates nationwide drug prices, which helps explain why the country spends about double the per capita average of nations in the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. And now, we have legislated that we will pay less. And so it's very interesting. It's very interesting that they want to have some sort of global board to set prices globally and adjust them country by country. Now, which countries do you think would end up paying absorbently more per drug to then subsidize the cost of the drugs being cheaper in other countries? I'm sure that would not lead to mass, doctor tourism, kind of like people changing their Steam account to, Brazil or whatever for cheaper games. According to your primary doctor, they pay literal pennies on the dollar, and you have to wait for extended periods and receive suboptimal care. The best doctors you've seen were out of state. You can attest relatively firsthand, socialized healthcare does not work. And sometimes it's not even the pennies on the dollar thing. Sometimes it's like, they'll charge the government healthcare that you have in the US absorbently more than they would if you were on either private or just paying out of pocket, right? So let's say there's a procedure that if you're paying out of pocket, it's $1,000. That same procedure under private healthcare might be $5,000 because they can bill that private healthcare more than they can you as an individual. And then if you're on the government healthcare, well, let's just say that's now a $20,000 kind of thing, right? And it's really wild to me learning about the different prices and just how much cheaper everything is when you pay out of pocket. Once again, because they don't have to jump through all these hoops to get insurances to pay, and they don't jack up the price to a crazy degree. I'm sure it's still jacked up from what it should be, because I don't trust the fucking doctors, but still. To keep costs down, Switzerland had developed a workaround. Doctors are allowed to make special requests for authorized medications that aren't on the official list for reimbursement, though at a discounted price. Companies say this option will likely disappear, however, because of the new US policies requiring transparency in any discounts. I mean, isn't that a good thing? Why would you not want transparency in discounts? That seems weird to keep it under wraps, to give specific doctors in a specific country a steeper discount than anywhere else. For Lunsumio, Roche came up with an alternative, simply providing the medication for free to the 24 or so patients in Switzerland who need it. So there's no lower price for benchmarking. How can you do that? Nothing is free, so if you're providing it for free, who is paying for it? Where is that money coming from? During a panel discussion at the World Economic Forum in Davos on January 20th, Helene Budliger Artieda, Switzerland's top trade negotiator, acknowledged the government and pharma companies were finding themselves more at odds. As relations with the US become increasingly thorny, she said, both sides must be more flexible to ensure the long-term prosperity of a key economic sector. Switzerland works because we talk with each other, she said. There should be no black and white narratives. Big pharma should not be a swear word. Well, you're decades late on that one. Boo-hoo, Switzerland can't get their super secret squirrel discounts. Yeah, if this cost for making the drug free for about the 24 or so patients in Switzerland falls on the Switzerland taxpayers, yeah, good. If they want to make it free by having the taxpayers subsidize the 24 patients for it, That's Switzerland's problem. That's not my problem. And Nyan has posted the screenshot here. And Denim saying, breaking messages between Emiru and Asmongold have been leaked. And it's obviously a joke. Obviously a joke, where it says, what's going on with ICE executing American citizens? And then the guy replies, don't worry, kitten. And she's like, okay, yay! I was like, this would be a conversation I have with someone. I don't think any one of my friends would call me kitten out of the blue, so it would never be as actually funny. But, like, I feel like if I messaged Bagman with something fucking weird like this, he would have a funny response. And the sad thing is that there are going to be retards that believe this cringy shit. Ain't no way. She just took an existing meme and lazily edited it. Yeah, which is why I said, like, the only time they could be funny is on accident. All right, we got a DonPBongWater video about Mizkif being gay, apparently. I don't know, man. Weren't you there? Weren't I where? The Kirsche does not know where it is at all times, because it does not know where it isn't at all times.
Fox News, where retardation and autism meets.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Fox News. I wish I could do my makeup like that. Tonight we have a special report on a middle-aged man who is so gay the rainbow doesn't have enough colors to represent him. He was briefly on the Crash Out report, but he walked off mid-interview. We sent Mindset Legal back out to try and finish the story. Viewer discretion is advised.
Last name, first name?
Oh, Mizkif, Mizkif.
Why is the AI pronouncing it Mizkif? Is this like a joke I don't get?
Little pillow princess twink.
Oh, he's got the gay list. That makes sense.
Dreams of boy kid, darling. Super mega ultra gay.
The holes in the wall really sell it. Are they hole punches? Are they glory holes? Who knows?
Super mega ultra gay. Loveth the D, loveth the D.
Why does he burn all the Kirby's?
Mizkif is so very, very gay.
I'm not gay. I don't know where people got that impression of me.
What the fuck is this? What is this?
This is just demon time, you know?
The real person who
That's a
caused
good
most
voice
of my
for
life to
Demon
be
Time.
torn apart is actually Tectone.
Fuck that bitch, Miss Kiffy, Kitty, whatever he calls himself. I
The
beat
fuck?
that
How
shit
many
bag in.
steroids did
He won't
Tectone
love me
ingest?
back, and really this is all his fault.
Yeah, he's just a turbo pussy.
This is just Judgment Day, really. Like, I tried showing how much I cared.
Missy once told me anything is a dildo if you are brave enough.
Like,
supposed
he
to be
didn't like
Asmund?
me, so I, like, don't like him anymore. I'm suing everyone I can because Tectone made me do it
That's
by
a
not
lot of
appreciating my
glory
love.
holes.
Cunt.
If he won't support me emotionally, then I'll make him support me financially.
Mizkif gay.
Are you Mindset Legal?
Yeah, you know I am, Missy Kitty.
I already told you, it's Mizkif.
Missy, this place is fucking gross.
Don't talk shit, I'll sue you like that one bitch for throwing plushies at me.
That's true, but also we gotta take a second here. We gotta take a second. Why are there so many cucumbers? Why is this glory hole so small? What is Tectone word? What is that? So you ruined your career. Is this Sam Hyde? Does that say Sam Hyde in AI text? I saw, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's Fireball? I don't know what this is supposed to be. Some pulpy juice shit. Eggman! Correcting the name directly into getting it wrong again anyway is fucking incredible.
Anyways, good to see you. Last time we spoke...
You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl.
I'm a fucking genius, chat.
You left in a hurry, and you weren't too kind to the audience. Why did you leave?
I found out I still had a gag reflex, but I wanted it removed so I could try and make Tectone love me again.
You're gay for Tectone?
Mizkif is like slowly turning into Kesha in this video.
I thought you said he had a micro penis, so why would you need to remove your gag reflex?
I don't want to talk about that. I'm not gay, he's gay, he just needs to admit it. I also want a sugar daddy to pay for all these allegedly malicious lawsuits. Change the subject.
Is that why you are dressing up like a drag queen again?
Again?
We have multiple clips and images of you cross-dressing, and you even tried a red dress on at one point.
Back.
Whoa!
Wait, what are those fucking bottles?
Good. Oh, is he coming back? Oh!
How did he change so quick?
I look like the fucking angry lady from Shrek.
Wait, is that Frogan? I didn't know he streamed with Frogan. What the hell?
Dude, what the fuck am I doing?
I feel like if you're gonna put on like the maid dress, right? Like a lot of these like large streamers seem to. You should probably at least get like somebody who can make you look halfway decent in one, right? Like why? Of all people, why would you let Frogan give you a makeover? That don't make no goddamn sense. That don't make no goddamn sense.
No.
Wait a minute. I feel the sponsors coming back. I don't need girls for a thumbnail.
Is this like the Hollywood humiliation rituals that Kanye talked about, where they would make the guys wear dresses and shit? Is this exactly just that thing?
Could be the thumbnail. I'm so powerful. I've leveled up.
Is that red dress like a lobster?
Up. Go home, gamer girl.
That's bullshit. Have you been watching that Bongwater guy's videos? I cross-dress because it makes me feel pretty. Frog and help me with my makeup.
Bagman just spam texted me. Is that you messaging me on Discord? He thought I got fucking hacked. You try to type like a fucking retard for a stream bit, but he's so used to me sounding one way. He's just like, there's no way this is her. As obviously she got hacked. There's no way. At least he's safe. I appreciate Bagman caring about my safety. That's a true friend. And tell him not to worry about it, kitten. Don't worry about it, kitten. I tell him, congrats, he doesn't believe you're retarded. Trust no one, not even yourself. That's so sweet of him. I'm glad I have good friends who care if I get hacked. Kirsche working for every single viewer. He just hit me with the goddammit Fox woman.
Up again too. All right, Mizkif, you're deflecting now. According to Stream Analytics, you aren't doing too well right now and are desperate for collabs and sponsors. Why are you burning every bridge you can? It doesn't make any sense. It's 'cause I'm hot. All these fuckers are jealous of me. According to these numbers, most of your viewers are from Tectone, but they don't like your incredibly gay actions. In a poll, they only watch to farm clips. What's your response? All this would stop if he let me rub his bald head and be with him. Going down on things isn't always bad. I go down all the time. He really hurt my feelings with the invitation to his wedding with Shinya.
What the fuck?
Deflecting again. Let me ask you another question, Ms. Queef. What's with all the holes in the wall and the plushies you seem to hate? Another projection?
Well, the plushies are because he's been violently assaulted with them through the years. You know, he's a victim of plushie violence.
Missy, why are you gay?
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. It was just a simple question.
He was sitting on a cucumber.
You certainly got sand in your vagina over that one.
Spicy cat raid. What the hell is this spicy
Well,
cat
that
raid?
certainly was a disaster.
Yeah, he's deep in the closet.
That was the most insane interview I've ever had the displeasure of attempting.
I do want to say I like the jacket the AI made for AI mindset legal. I feel like this would look snazzy actually in real life.
Didn't want to answer questions and just wanted to blame everyone else for falling off.
Monya! Monya! Why was he so gay, especially for Tectone?
Foxu. I have no earthly idea why he is so incredibly gay.
It's just really easy to be gay for bald men. That's like a demographic, you know?
I've ever seen with a case of gay that bad is Hassan for Asmongold.
It seems that Mizzy still wants the jizzy. Coming up, the Epstein files mention Brock Lobster. Former ICE agents begin running a taco truck and a mysterious Indian festival.
I was drinking coffee when that was said. That was pretty funny. It'd probably be funny if I knew more about Mizkif, but it was still pretty funny.
People going crazy think they found a code word for human meat? Wait, what?
What?
Hope you are feeling better. Did we analyze the jerky?
Yeah,
Why didn't we get jerky this week? I also added more to the jerky and ginger lemongrass. Thank you so much. Super cool. Beef jerky.
Ah, super cool human meat. Thank you for jerky.
Delicious. Jojo is here and will walk the jerky over to Jeff.
I like how he finished my sentence.
We'll walk the jerky over to Jeffrey. Why would jerky walk around?
Yeah.
Why would it do that? Delicious lunch, beef jerky. Steve and I are very grateful above all for your friendship. Some of these emails are so wholesome, aren't they? It's too bad they eat kids. A small insulated bag would be fine. I don't remember checking it. No need for crazy amounts of ice. One should do. There is one bag of beef jerky in the fridge. Please get it. Also, Blank has more at her place. Please get it from her as well. I suppose it needs to be in a cold, insulated bag. Just wanted to touch base about jerky. J.E. said he was going to start eating regular food again, so he might be eating less jerky. He said he has 6 bags of it in a downstairs freezer. Why would you freeze jerky?
Yeah, first of all, why would you freeze jerky? And second of all, why would jerky be excluded from regular food if they were talking about regular jerky? Because, like, if somebody was talking to me about actual meat, like beef jerky, I would just, like, yeah, that's a regular food. What do you mean?
Steve needs a 6 to 8 ounce portion of jerky. I gave you all the jerky we had, and it lasted only half the amount of time it was meant to. I felt like...
Damn, they are ravenous for human flesh.
It was more important for you to have the jerky to eat during my time off.
Steve needs 6 to 8 ounces portion of jerky. I gave you all the jerky we had, and it lasted only half the time it was meant to. I felt it was more important for you to have the jerky to eat during my time off. My plan is to make a batch before I leave for LSJ, and some of that will then go to Steve and the rest to you at LSJ when I arrive. Little St. James, I think, is the name of the island, yeah? Why is the name redacted here? I feel like that name shouldn't be redacted, right? I thought only the names of victims were redacted. So what is who out here making child beef jerky?
My plan is to make a batch before I leave for LSJ, and some of that will go to Steve, and the rest will go to you at LSJ when I arrive. Little St. James Island. And that's what
He literally had the same exact revelation in the same exact way that I did. Chat, maybe I am just Asmongold, and that's why my memory's so bad. I just, like, black out and forget. Like, I don't know.
LSJ must mean. So logically, that means that they were doing this off of the island. Steve Hansen is sending jerky to your attention overnight. I believe it should be enough to get him through. Jeffrey Epstein is asking to bring him more jerky. I'm flying in on Friday. I will bring jerky. Is there a time I could come say hi and drop off the beef jerky? And that's from Jeffrey Epstein. Francis has time to come tomorrow. Show me how to make it. Jerky class anyone. He will...
Jerky class? Hey, yo, what a bitch gotta do to get into the child jerky making class? Like, what? I can't. They use 3 fucking exclamation points, too. Like, they're excited for this. That's crazy.
Bring you to taste his new jerky recipe from the restaurant. He sends a warm hello. He's working at a restaurant called
that's...
guys?
Why is it so on the nose? Like, they don't even hide it because they can just call you a conspiracy theorist. Why even bother to hide it if you could just do it out in the open and no one will care? It reminds me of, like, when Republicans talk about how they can't actually explain to people what Democrat positions are in current year because they're just like, there's no way that that's real. You're making that up. That sounds too extreme. But it's like, no, that's actually what's going on.
The restaurant's called Cannibal and Cooks. Wait for it. Beef jerky and steak. Can blank make some jerky? I think we should landscape all around the house to use the water if possible. If the main house is not enough.
What does that even
Are there
mean?
any recorded images of Jeffrey Epstein with beef jerky at all? No, there are no recorded or publicly known images of Jeffrey Epstein with beef jerky. Who sends beef jerky to a lab for analysis?
Yeah,
Wait,
also true.
What? I was looking for the beef jerky as I knew it was in my suitcase, and I thought that maybe I left it on the beach, only to find a small plastic bag near my dog's bed. I'll email Francis to make us some more, as I need 6 to 8 ounces to send to the lab, and I'll forward to Francis the info to send to the lab directly.
What would be the point of sending it to the lab? I mean, like, let's take this into account for a second, right? Like, even if this is like meat from children, what would you be sending it to the lab for? Right? Because it's like already cooked into jerky, apparently. So, like, what? To prove it's beef and not human? I mean, maybe? What the fuck is jerky?
Nice. I think something's going on. What's this here? Kirsche, apparently it's his last girlfriend who's active on Twitter right now. Check the mail. Names for hers again. Oh boy. Oh boy. People are saying this is Jeffrey Epstein's last girlfriend. And this is the same name as inside of the files. And her name change hasn't occurred since...
Call me crazy, but wouldn't his girlfriend at the time be one of the people they like interview and talk to? And like, I don't know. How would he have a girlfriend and she not know what's going on the island? I'm a little confused.
2017, before the files released. After years of silence, the truth. Jeffrey was innocent.
What?
I really? Like, he just a good boy? He didn't do nothing wrong? Trapped by powerful...
He a good boy. He didn't do nothing. He was getting children to church so they can get their lives together.
People who silenced him. I was his last confidant, and I have the evidence that they're still hiding. I'm not suicidal just in case. You'll know the whole truth soon. They sacrificed children to Lucifer. It's an entire cult. Jeffrey got involved in their operation for financial reasons and to obtain Combraprat, but never participated in the rituals. Oh, what is this here? I'll pull this one up and see it. That's crazy. She cooked in the brain? Maybe. She ate the brain? Yeah, maybe.
She just like my anime dating games, for real, for real.
She did. Wire transfer request form. A 65-gallon... Guys?
What is compromise? Blackmail.
6 55-gallon sulfuric acid with fuel and insurance charge? They are dissolving bodies.
Yep. That is crazy. That's crazy. Without insane and evil the people have been shown to be, beef jerky probably means stem cells and the flesh you get from them. I don't know. That's fucking crazy, dude. I don't know what to expect out of these files, but I feel like there's a lot of names being redacted that should not be redacted. We're not saying we called this guy's truck and plates into an ICE activity hotline. What we are saying is that he ended up being targeted by anti-ICE protesters, despite the fact that he's quote-unquote one of them. It's so easy to flip the tables when you're dealing with brutally low IQ. He's in a big truck. That means he's bad. We all have eyes? I mean, they're just giving him free dildos. If he's on their side, he should appreciate that, right? Why are they screaming about Rid-X? That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand that one. Him assuming they could read is the first mistake. That's true. That's true. If those protesters could read, they'd be much less upset with you, sir. How does anyone with any above room temp IQ take these people seriously while they throw dildos? That's a great question. Next question. Algerian Olympic boxer Imane Khelif admits to having male sex chromosomes for the first time. Wow, I'm so shocked that the man everyone said looking like a man, plays like a man, is definitely a man, has come out and said he's a man. Wow. Imagine my shock! Algerian boxer Imane Khelif has confirmed he has a Y chromosome, indicating he's biologically male. In a new interview with French sports outlet L'Equipe, Khelif also admitted to having elevated testosterone levels, which he said he has been medically suppressing under the supervision of a doctor. Khelif has been the subject of extreme controversy since the 2024 Paris Olympics, after Redux first revealed he had previously been disqualified by the International Boxing Association Women's World Boxing Championships after failing a sex test. The news sparked a firestorm of backlash, with the IBA coming out in opposition to the Olympics' decision to allow biological males to box against women in Paris. Can I just say that it is wildly clown-worldy that we have to have sex tests in current year because of all of this nonsense? Remember, guys, you're allowed to beat the fuck out of women if you pretend to be one. True! You're allowed to beat women as long as you put on the dress. Attempting to address the controversy, the IBA held a press conference in August of 2024, repeatedly confirming that Khelif had failed multiple chromosomal tests. The IBA also revealed they had been barred from releasing the results of those tests by the Algerian Olympic Committee. It is reported that during the press conference, BBC journalists walked out in support of Khelif. Of course the BBC would fucking do that, are you kidding? Despite the IBA's findings, the International Olympic Committee allowed Khelif to continue boxing in the women's 66 kg category, where he ultimately took gold. I'm so shocked. Since then, multiple leaked medical reports have been released, all of which indicate Khelif has a disorder of sexual development and is biologically male. On the leaked report, which was drafted in June 2023 via a collaboration between the Kremlin Bicêtre Hospital in Paris and the Mohamed Lamine Deboghine Hospital in Algiers, revealed that Khelif is impacted by 5-alpha reductase deficiency, a disorder of sexual development that is only found in biological males. The genetic abnormality influences the normal development of a child's sexual organs. At birth, male babies are impacted and are often incorrectly assigned female due to the presence of deformed genitalia that sometimes takes on the appearance of a blind vaginal pouch. If this guy hadn't tried to take advantage of Clown World rules and pretended to be a woman so that he could beat the fuck out of other women and get rewarded for it on an international scale, nobody would know that he has a deformed baby dick that could be mistaken for a vaginal pouch. Sometimes life comes at you fast. This disordered development typically becomes apparent by puberty, when impacted adolescents begin to experience signs of masculinization, such as muscle growth, hair growth, and an absence of breast tissue development or menstruation. In 2025, yet another test was leaked by the Olympic Press Committee member Alan Abramson, confirming once again that Khelif has a male karyotype. This is the blood test leaked by Olympic Press Committee back in June 2025. Khelif has now admitted to having XY chromosomes for the first time in a new interview with French sports outlet L'Equipe. In the interview, Khelif confirmed he has the SRY gene carried on a Y chromosome. SRY stands for sex-determining region of the Y, a gene that initiates typical male sexual development by triggering testes formation. Khelif also clarified that he was not transgender and pointed to his upbringing as a girl, stating, "I'm not a trans woman, I'm a girl. I was raised as a girl, I grew up as a girl. The people in my village have always known me as a girl." Is he just trying to like co-opt Bridget's lore? What is happening here? However, individuals with disorders of sexual development are not considered transgender, and without access to proper clinical examination, males with similar disorders of sexual development may incorrectly believe they are female into adulthood. Global health researchers have noted that rare developmental conditions are systemically underdiagnosed or misdiagnosed in low-resource countries, such as Khelif's home of Algeria, for this reason. If you repeat a lie enough, it starts to become the truth. I still feel like this is less of a case of him, I grew up believing this lie, and more a case of I was able to take advantage of people being literally retarded so that I could gain, like, attention and fame worldwide. Global health researchers have noted that rare developmental conditions are systemically, I read that part, as previously reported by Redux. Khelif's coach had previously noted the boxer had been incredibly shocked by the results of his karyotype test in 2023, following his disqualification from the International Boxing Association. In an exclusive interview with Le Point magazine in 2024, Georges Cazzola spoke of Khelif's distress after being disqualified by the IBA, confirming that the biological test had been carried out by the IBA that revealed Khelif may not be female, something which appeared to blindside Khelif. The disqualification was based on tests. Frankly, I found it disgusting. You find reality disgusting? Regardless of the results of these biological tests, and without going into detail, that is a matter for biologists and doctors. This poor young girl was devastated to suddenly discover that she might not be a girl. Despite the admission by Khelif's coach and the repeat medical record leaks confirming Khelif was biologically male, mainstream media outlets and activists continued to insist that Khelif was female and had simply been the victim of a transphobic smear campaign, which targeted him because of his appearance. And once again, someone that you will never hear about in any kind of mainstream discourse, Romelia from League of Legends, they were an autogynephiliac. They hated transgender people. After they died, supposedly, potentially by suicide, it's kind of murky at this point in my memory. After they died, the media spread it around that it was a case of transgender suicide via bullying, and this is why we need more protections for transgender people, despite the fact that Romelia was an open autogynephiliac who hated transgender people. Who? Romelia was a professional League of Legends player. In his interview with L'Equipe, Khelif expressed optimism about his career and insisted he intended to defend his Olympic gold in Los Angeles in 2028. But Khelif does not acknowledge that as a direct result of the controversy caused by his participation in Paris. World Boxing introduced mandatory sex testing for all boxers in its competitions last year. World Boxing is the international governing body for the sport, and is currently the IOC's official partner federation for Olympic boxing. Khelif has filed a complaint with the Court of Arbitration for Sport against World Boxing for its sex testing policy, but he has said that he would be willing to submit to sex testing only if it is administered by the IOC. Weird. At this time, it is unclear if Khelif or the Algerian Olympic Committee have researched a quiet agreement with the IOC regarding his participation, possibly securing an exception that would allow athletes with disorders of sexual development to compete in their self-identified category. However, this is currently just speculation and no formal announcement of such an accommodation has been made. As it stands, World Boxing's policy explicitly restricts participation in the women's category to biological females, and in November of 25, the International Olympic Committee hinted that it would be adopting a similar policy intended to prevent males from participating in the women's category in 2026. While Khelif communicated that he was confident he will pass a sex test, he has previously exited competitions which required him to do so. He has also withdrawn Court of Arbitration for Sport appeals, which would have likely required him to undergo a sex test to demonstrate his claims that he is biologically female. That's very interesting that he keeps saying, hey, I'll do the test, and then every time somebody asks him to, he says, actually, no, I'm just gonna drop out. Let's go get shit on! Stop fucking lying, bro. Stop fucking lying.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
Rest in power, Drag Queen Story Hour UK founder fundraising for convicted child sex offender's funeral. This is from 2023. The UK-based drag queen, well known for his performances to children, is fundraising for the funeral costs of a convicted child sex offender he calls his friend. On January 23rd, drag queen Ida HD, the stage name of performer Sab Samuel, announced on Facebook that he was fundraising for the funeral costs of Darren Moore. Darren Moore is the one that got fucked by a dog. Taken unjustly, Samuel wrote in his post. I'd like to help give my friend the send-off he deserves, he wrote, providing the link to a GoFundMe campaign for Moore and affixing to the post a photo of Moore and his husband. But what Samuel neglected to mention was that Moore is a convicted child sex offender. Moore, 39, was found dead in full drag costume on the streets of Cardiff City Centre on the morning of the 22nd of January. Previously known as Darren Sewell, Moore was convicted of 4 counts of rape on a boy under the age of 14 while living in South Wales. As a result, he spent 3 years in a young offenders institution. Following his offense, Moore was also banned from having contact with children. But in 2011, he was caught working with youth as a gymnastics and dance tutor and was convicted of breaching the lifetime order. He was sentenced to a 3-year sex offenders treatment program. It should have been sentenced to a 1-hour sex offender treatment program. That's probably all you need to, like, carry out an execution, right? A 24-month supervision order, 300 hours of community service, and a 6-month curfew with an electronic tag. Moore changed his name after he married his husband, who was also named Darren. Isn't that kind of narcissistic? If, like, your spouse has the exact same name as you? Like, someone says, hello, Darren Moore, and you both turn around like, which one? That's kind of weird. That's kind of strange. At the time of his death, Moore had worked as a jeweler and performed drag under the names Crystal Couture, CC Quinn, and Dolly. Moore had exhibited his jewelry at RuPaul's annual DragCon event in London in 2020. As a drag queen, Moore once represented British Airways at a Pride Festival in Brighton 2018. When his previous convictions came to light, British Airways released a statement saying he did not work for the airline. Also in 2018, audience members walked out of a Pride Without Prejudice performance of Moore's after he made lighthearted comments about child abuser Jimmy Savile. Investigations are still ongoing into Moore's cause of death. We already know that his cause of death was being allergic to dog semen, but police have cautioned the public against speculation. Despite this, some members and supporters of the drag queen have already begun to claim Moore's death was the result of a hate crime. It's a hate crime! Actually, it was dog semen, because he took the dog dick. He had that dog in him. Let's not mince words here. Upon announcements of his death, the drag queen community, particularly in Cardiff, began mourning the loss of Moore on social media. Sab Samuel, known as the Storytime drag queen, Ida HD, posted on his Facebook page that Moore was an exuberant human being taken from the world too early, adding, "Rest in power." He also shared that he wore jewelry that Moore made for him and provided a link to the fundraiser to raise money for his funeral costs. Samuel has been seen wearing the ADHD necklace he references in the post at the Storytime events with children and an official Drag Queen Story Hour UK photos. Just over 2 hours later, Samuel posted again in memory of the child sex offender, writing, "Taken unjustly. I'd like to help give my friend the send-off he deserves. Please see the link below. This is to support the husband in this horrible, horrible time." I don't see the problem here, right? Like, a fucking child molester was taken the fuck out by dog semen. Why would you ever celebrate this person? To be fair, the dog semen hated his body, and fucking a dog is a crime. Hate crime confirmed! Checkmate atheists! Alright, I'll believe in your logic. The top comment on the post raised awareness of Moore's previous conviction, saying, "Lots of media now reporting on this death, but referring to him as a convicted pedophile. Comments have since been disabled on the page." Samuel shared the link to a GoFundMe for Moore a third time today, which reads, this was back in 2023, "Anyone who knew Darren would know know how he was never understated in his appearance and costume. He was larger-than-life character, and charisma was something you'll never forget. We'd like to support Darren and the family and give Darren the biggest send-off. If you're able to and can afford a few quid, please donate what you can to ensure we do him proud." Boy. The fundraiser has already surpassed approximately £3,000 target and has raised £4,875 as at the time of writing. One donator left a message on the page reading, "Had the pleasure of meeting Darren last year in Gran Canaria. Although very briefly, you could just tell what a beautiful soul he truly had." I don't know how you talk about a convicted pedophile dying from dog semen allergy and say that they have a beautiful soul. Another donor wrote, "Darren was and will always be a very special person to have known and been a friend with. His out-there personality was contagious, and he was someone who you couldn't but love." Samuel has raised concerns on social media in the past for his conduct around children, with some calling his drag costume inappropriate due to its sometimes prominent genital bulge. Yeah, if I was a parent and I walked into this fucking thing with his very noticeable bulge next to my child, I would be absolutely fucking livid. Butt love? They missed the word help. I'm assuming it's supposed to say who you couldn't help but love, but they didn't put the word help in there. Maybe the word help was doing some heavy lifting elsewhere. Just weeks prior to posting in support of Moore, Samuel, who's the founder of Drag Queen Story Hour UK, announced he was set to perform for children at the Tate Gallery in London. How does this even keep happening? Right? Like let's just like ignore the entire convicted pedophile thing for a second, right? Why would you trust this to read to children in the first place? And then you add on the convicted pedophile on top of that, And it's like, why are you letting this thing within an inch of children? Like, what are you doing? What the fuck is wrong with you? Where has common sense fucking gone? Not the man's best friend we need, but the one we deserve. But now dogs will be banned in the UK. People didn't understand what I was saying the other day because they're just like, Kirsche, you're not gonna ban dogs because of gay butt sex. You're gonna ban dogs because of Islam. Yes, I know that Islam thinks dogs are detestable. I know that Islamic people want to ban dogs in the UK. I don't think they can use this dog fucking this gay guy to death with its semen as a way to ban dogs quite yet. I feel like we will get there and they will just ban dogs under the reason that they are dirty, right? Because once there's a large enough Muslim population, they can just kind of do whatever the fuck they want, right? They're not going to need to use this excuse. But I don't think they would use this excuse, right? They would get too much pushback currently for being homophobic. They know what they're doing. They give them the fake rewards to legitimize them. What? Could be the reason, but not the reason. They'll ban dog, but not goats. I know, Moinia. Concerned parents in the nation opposed to Drag Queen Story Hour have established a group called Art Not Propaganda, and recently stated that they have formally complained to the Tate. They formally complained to the Tate regarding their decision to host the Story Hour event. The parents have established a petition which currently has 3,400 signatures and lists historical posts made by Samuel. The group says raises safeguarding concerns. Sab Samuel has shared multiple images and comments on social media which raise serious safeguarding red flags. A teacher would be dismissed for the same. In current year, do we really think they would? They wrote in the petition, amongst the infractions are a Twitter post from July of 2020 in which Samuel's captions, "Love has no age." The parents point out that the phrase was popularized by a group which once campaigned to lower the age of sexual consent. Why would you post that? Why would you post that on an official Drag Queen Story Hour UK? Can I just say, if you are unironically trying to push, it's not sexual, drag queens should be able to read to kids, then you absolutely should not post on the official Drag Queen Story Hour UK page that love has no age. What in the ungodly fuck are you doing? This is once again like a humiliation ritual, right? They feel themselves to be so untouchable that they can do this shit out in public, infuriate normal people, but if normal people say, look at this, look what they're saying, those normal people get called bigots and homophobic and transphobic, and the entire discussion gets shut down. And it's fucking ridiculous. How can you look at posting "Love Has No Age" on a Drag Queen Story Hour page and then turn around and be like, you can't be against it, that's queer hate? Once again, they feel untouchable, they brag about it, and then they will turn around and call you a bigot for pointing it out. It's disgusting and dishonorable, and I'm tired of it. Just last year, Pink News named Samuel Leader of the Year at their annual awards show for his work with children, helping them fall in love with literature. Samuel first rose to infamy after he began touring libraries across the UK to read in his drag persona. He founded the UK branch of Drag Queen Story Hour in 2019, and his enterprise proudly boasts it's been featured by the National Health Service, Greenpeace, Forbes, and more. We truly are just ruled by satanic pedophiles, man. In November of 2022, Samuel uploaded a video to Facebook in which he was almost on the verge of tears while recounting his experience hiding his sexuality from a family member's children. I wish this guy wasn't real. Because if he wasn't real, then he couldn't hurt anyone. But unfortunately, he is. Why does the dog sound more and more like a hero? Unfortunately, Samuel is still alive as far as I know. He's not the one that died. I did not want to tell my family member or their children about me being gay because I could have been a danger. I don't know, it was weird. I think back to that moment, it felt like a disgusting human being. I'd grown up with the idea that being gay was disgusting, Samuel says. People wonder why I do Drag Queen Story Hour. It's because of those reasons there. Because I grew up hating who I was. Now, any kids who are queer are not going to grow up with that in their life. I want kids to grow up to love themselves, but to be surrounded by those who love them too. Everybody has times of like self-doubt, and everybody has moments of like, am I bad? Like, have I done bad things? But I don't think most people have the, I could have been a danger. I don't think most people think that. I don't think most people are like, I can't tell you I'm gay because I might be a danger to your children. That's not normal. That's not a normal thought process. As backlash continues to mount against drag queen story hours around the world, Samuel's events have been met with protests. During one demonstration at Reading Library last year, 2 protesters managed to interrupt the session while about 25 others continued outside the venue. They were escorted out by staff and the event continued. There have been similar demonstrations against such events in North America. As a result, Antifa militants wielding guns have been seen standing guard in front of some venues, holding drag shows for children. Like, every time I think that story can't get any worse, it just fucking does. Holy shit. And this was an article from 2023 when the drag queen first died, so. The dog semen was a 2026 update. They didn't know about the dog semen in 2023.